Service. Today's webinar is a technical overview of the AireLink 60 series, the new wireless bridge product series from LightPointe that we think you will find to be very robust and exciting to your customer base, whether they are internal or external. There will be a Q&A session at the end of Brian's presentation. Please type in your questions as we go along, and we will then answer them. The AireLink 60 is in the millimeter wave B band, which is available in quite a few countries around the world. And typically the 60 gigahertz band is unlicensed. So Brian will now take over with the webinar and give us his overview.
Good morning, everyone. As John mentioned, today we're going to talk about the AireLink 60, which is our newest released product. For those of you who've not familiar with LightPointe, I wanted to give you kind of an overview of the organization. We're obviously been around for a number of years, and those of you that have worked with us are familiar with the history of LightPointe, leading back to our early days with just having FSO-only products. We are headquartered in San Diego, California, and we are ISO 9001 certified. For those of you that are not aware, we do have sales and support offices in the United States, Germany, France, and in Thailand. So we are spread out across the globe, and if you need assistance with anything, please feel free to contact sales at lightpointe.com in order to get in contact with your appropriate salesperson. As I mentioned, we do point-to-point, and we've been doing FSO, free space optics, laser-based communications for years and years. We've now branched out also into the visible light communication field. We've also, over the last probably 6 or so years, have started to penetrate and are really hitting our stride with the millimeter wave product line in the 60 gigahertz as well as the 70 and 80 gigahertz frequencies. We also developed and actually have a patent for our hybrid option, which is to add an RF bridge to our free space optics products. And this allows us to then have, for people in foggy areas, the ability to have a backup option for their laser-based solutions to give them the all-weather protection they want and give them the 5 nines of availability when using a laser product. So we are the #1 manufacturer of FSO bridges and of ultra-low latency bridges. And the ultra-low latency bridges for us are primarily in the 70 and 80 gigahertz products, and I'll talk about those briefly in a moment. With over 16,000 systems deployed worldwide, we have a lot of experience. We have a lot of knowledge. So if you have an opportunity or an application, please feel free to reach out to us, and I'm sure we've run into something similar in the past, and we're more than happy to help you. Here's just an overview slide of our manufacturing facility, and again, we are ISO 9001 certified. So here is kind of a brief slide, single slide to show you the product lines that we have. So on the far left-hand side, in kind of that yellowish, goldish colored box, is our laser-based solutions, currently being marketed under the AireBridge series of products, and both are being shown with the hybrid option available. So we have had these similar products, but we have made improvements to them, but the form factors are similar, so those of you who have seen and used our laser-based products over the years, the form factor is the same, but we've made improvements and changes to the insides of the units. And in doing so, we've moved from the flight spectrum to the flight strata to the air strata, and now we're on our latest revision called the AireBridge. In the middle section, which is the product we're going to talk about today, you'll see the AireLink 60 product, and that is again 60 gigahertz. On the far right-hand side, those are our 70 and 80 gigahertz products, and that's the AirBeam and AirExtreme products. Visually, we use the same CAN and the same antenna structures for both of those products, but the AirBeam is our layer 2 product, and the AirExtreme is our ultra-low latency solution. So for the ultra low latency, if you're doing things like or working with high frequency traders, if you're doing data center storage backups where latency is critical, the Air Extreme is the product of choice. So here is our AireLink family of products. Starting on the left, you're going to see our small form factor, the SX product. Now the SX has an integrated antenna, and I'll talk more about that. The middle one is our MX, or medium size. It uses a 1 foot or 30 centimeter antenna. And then the LX would be our larger antenna product, and that has a 60 centimeter or 2 foot antenna. Now there's a lot of the internals on the units are all the same. It's the externals that change and will help determine the amount of availability that you can achieve at a given distance, and we're going to talk about that towards the end of the slide presentation. So the AireLink 60, one of the main features that we wanted to maintain, because we're known for this, is to do full duplex throughput. We do that with our FSO systems, we do that with our 70 and 80 gigahertz systems. That's our high capacity, full throughput, full duplex is what we strive to achieve. And with the AireLink 60, we've done the same thing, and I'm going to talk about that again in another slide or so. Additionally, we wanted to create a very robust system. So what we did is we developed a 9-level of ACM. Basically, it's stepping through modulation schemes in order to achieve the highest availability possible with the form factors. We also have improved to support jumbo frames with this product. And you can see there we have the standards of flow control and transparent bridging, VLAN support, etc. We also didn't sacrifice a lot when it comes to latency. Now this is not an ultra low latency product, but as you can see, we still have very low latency. So let me talk about our throughput comparisons. There's a lot of, I don't want to say mystery out there, but a lot of vendors are using different tactics and different wording in order to describe their throughput. So this image kind of gives you an idea of what is out in the marketplace and what is being said versus what the reality of what those products can actually do. So what you can see, and I don't necessarily want to read through all of these, but as you can see in the last slide on the right hand side, our whole premise and our whole point is to provide full line rate, full duplex operation, and in this case it's full gigabit operation. That's what we strive to do, that's how we test our products, that's how we verify our products, and that's how we ship our products. It's very difficult sometimes in the marketplace for consumers to be able to determine what's being said, because sometimes it sounds good. Well, my product does 2.5 gig. Well, what they're saying really is that it's doing standard gigabit Ethernet in each direction for a total of 2.5. In other words, 1.25 in each direction, or the gigabit standard in each direction. But the reality is it's still doing just gigabit full duplex, but they're saying 2,500 megabits. You also will see that some vendors will talk about an over-the-air rate versus the actual throughput that's available. You'll also see some vendors talk about simplex or TDD systems. Well, those are kind of one at a time. So they can't really do full throughput because you can't have bidirectional communication. It's simplex. And then of course you've got 802.11 radios, which can claim very high data rates. And this one for me is always interesting because they'll say they can do, say, 300 megabits per second, but yet they have a 10-100 Ethernet. Well, how can you do more than your 100 megabits of Ethernet, because that's all that your connection is? So there's a lot of marketing spin out there. So we need to try and kind of cut through some of that marketing spin and get back to what the reality is, and that is full duplex gigabit operation. So getting back to our antennas and our product specifically, the AireLink 60. Once again, we are looking at an image of the SX model. And the SX model has kind of a unique antenna on it. It's called a lens antenna. And after a lot of R&D, we decided to go with the lens antenna because of the way that it really focuses the energy forwards. It has a lot less side lobe than other antennas have, and because of this, we felt this was the right choice for our product. So it's a very high gain, low side lobe antenna. You can see from the bottom image that we have here where it's attached to our side pole mounting kit, and that is the standard side pole mounting kit that comes with the SX product. You can see that it's got a very small form factor. It only has, as you can see, the dimensions are right there. Basically 220 millimeters by 220 by 70 millimeters. Very small form factor. Okay, so getting back to some of the features that we have for this product. The system is designed around high power PoE, HPoE. 802.3 AT is the standard that we are moving forward with on this product, which is nice. Some of our Air Bridge products, as well as our Air Beam and Air Extreme products, do require the above the AT standard. But in the development of this product, we did want to make a conscious choice to try and hit and meet the AT standard, which we did achieve. Which means that you could plug this system directly into an AT-powered switch and power the unit through the switch. Additionally, we have the ability to have a redundant power supply where you can use a direct 48-volt power option. As you can see, our power consumption does meet the AT standard at the 23 watts. The other thing that we wanted to make sure was that we provided customers with flexibility when it comes to the interfaces for their data. Now, this is an out-of-band management only product, so you will need two cables at least, one for your management and power, and you will need one for your data. And we did develop this using the combo port technology, meaning that the data has the ability to either be a standard RJ45 copper, or it has an open SFP module where you can put in either a single mode or a multi-mode SFP module. So you can purchase those SFPs directly from LightPointe. We do use ones that were designed specifically for outdoor use and have been tested thoroughly with our products. I also wanted to point out some of the other options that we have, which is the web browser, which is going to be the primary way, and I'm going to go through the web browser kind of screen by screen. So I'll talk about the GUI. We also included it's available as an option, an alignment aid. Basically, this helps you find the other side, gives you a coarse kind of alignment before you can move over to the RSSI, which we will provide using a voltmeter. We provide you the RSSI cable to plug into your voltmeter to do your fine alignment. We also included on the user panel, and I'll show you some images of that, some LEDs for status. Now, another aspect to this system that was important to us was to really try and provide the marketplace with the longest available reach for a 60 gigahertz product. So we developed the product based on hitting the highest EIRP standards, which is the up to the 55 dBi. and that's using the 2-foot antenna, and it still remains compliant for the European marketplace. So you can see here again are the two images. The top one is our 2-foot antenna with the highest gain possible, and then our 1-foot antenna, which has a 5 dBi less gain. So here is, again, it's a side pole mount solution with the 1-foot and 2-foot antennas, and you can see the ODU specific version of the product attached to these antennas. Here's a little bit better image of the user panel and the inputs and outputs on the bottom or rear of the unit. So you can see moving in this bottom image of the unit, the line drawing, you can see where the power would go in for the 48 volt. You can see that we have, for future development, we've included an RS-485 port. At this time, it doesn't do anything, but we are working with the engineers, and it's there for future use and future options. Then you have your power over Ethernet as well as your management all flow over the same port. And then you have your combo data port, and here you can see where we specify you're either going to do RJ45 or an SFP. You cannot use both at the same time. You also can see the LED indicators on the user panel for the RF on, which tells you that the radio is functioning. The RF sync, meaning are you seeing the other side? Alignment, telling you what mode the product is in, if it's in alignment mode or in data mode. And then power. We also have a reset button, which is a new one for us. We think that's going to be very helpful should you need to move the unit, or if your network administrator has left and you no longer know what the passwords and or IP addresses are, you can always reset to factory defaults. And then, of course, we have the console availability, which uses a micro USB should you need to get in through a serial style interface. So here's kind of a real-life photo of those LEDs. So during the initial power-up, the power LED comes on, and it will blink. The power-up does take approximately 3 minutes to complete, and you'll see the power LED blinking during that time. After the unit is powered up, and assuming it is not aligned to anything, you will see 3 LEDs come on, and this is what it would look like out of the box. Meaning that you took it out of the box, you put it on the pole, you powered it up, and now you are preparing to do the alignment. You'll see the power light is now on solid. You'll see the alignment LED is on, meaning the system is in alignment mode, and that the RF is on. Now once you start aligning the system and it does receive signal from the remote side, the RF sync will also become illuminated. So you're going to go through the alignment process, and once the units are aligned and you're using your voltmeter to maximize your signal strength, the voltmeter is actually going to be giving you the voltage shown is going to be in dBm. So when you connect it correctly, you're going to be dealing with negative numbers. So depending on how far your distance is, you're going to want to get the lowest negative number possible. For instance, with an integrated antenna at 100 meters, we're able to achieve a signal strength of around minus 30, 32 dBm. So that's what you're going to look at. And when the unit is basically got no signal whatsoever, it's going to show you a signal strength of minus 73. So that gives you an idea of how the voltmeter is going to show you its signal strength. So once we get that aligned and locked down, we're going to move inside to the web browser and begin to configure the system and make it operational. So I'm going to go through the options that are shown, options that are available. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on all the screens, but I do want you to be aware of the system and what it looks like. And so your system screen comes up, and it has the serial number, It also shows you your firmware, software, and MAC address information. So should there be a question, should you call tech support, we will need to know the serial number. We will need to know probably the firmware and software at a minimum, so that we're aware of which products you have, what software rev you have, etc. Now, once the system is aligned, you've logged into the unit. The unit is going to come with a default IP, and I'll show you that in a moment. You'll want to connect it up to a laptop and start your configurations. So the first thing you're going to want to do is change your mode. As I mentioned, when the unit comes out of the box and during the installation process, you're going to be in alignment mode. You cannot pass traffic while the system is in alignment mode. So what you need to do is come into the RF link screen. You need to change your mode to data mode. You need to apply the changes, and then you'll need to go to the administration tab and change and do save settings. And that will lock it into data mode, so that when you power cycle the units, or if there's a power outage and it comes back, it will be in data mode moving forward. The screen obviously will, as you can see in front of you, shows the RSSI, the current RSSI. That is being read from the units. You can set threshold alarms if you are doing SNMP and you want to have it monitor the alarms. You can do that here. You can also change, now we use ACM, as I mentioned. We have these 9 levels of hitless modulation, and that's the ACM. Out of the box, it's enabled, meaning that it's going to be automatically changing its modulation based on the current atmospheric conditions. And that's what's recommended. That way you get the most availability out of the system. However, we did leave it open to allow customers to force a modulation scheme. Of course, this can be a bit dangerous if you set it to the highest modulation scheme, and then there's some atmospheric conditions that arise that take it to a lower RSSI level, at which point the signal will not be able to the signal strength is not high enough to maintain that modulation scheme. So we do recommend that you leave it enabled, but again, it's flexible for what you want to do. Going into the port status, most of this is just going to be informational for you so that you can see what's going on. If you are using an SFP, this is the screen you're going to look at. It's going to provide you, if you're using the SFP modules purchased from LightPointe, you're going to see the part number of the SFP, the temperature from the SFP, as well as the transmit and receive powers. And those are nice because, again, if you have a fiber run and you're having some issues, it'll give you an idea of what the system is putting out and what the system is receiving from those fibers. And then you have flow control, which you can enable or disable based on your preferences. The second step after you've changed the system from alignment mode to data mode is to come into the management view. And in the management view, what you want to do is set your IP address. So as you can see from this screen, these are the default LightPointe IP address scheme for this system. So it's going to come in as a 192.168.1.10. You'll want to change that to whatever the IP address of the system you want. Now again, this is going to be out-of-band management, so you'll want to make sure that it's going to be going into the IP address or into the VLAN of whatever you're doing for your management. I always recommend holding off on setting the VLAN to be the very last thing that you do. So after you've tested the system and after you've verified everything, then set a VLAN. Because if you do set the VLAN incorrectly, or you need to get in through connecting directly to the PoE injector, once that VLAN is set, it can be difficult to get it unset to get back to do some tweaking. So I always recommend leaving the VLAN setting to enable that as the very last step in the process. Once you've set the management IP addresses, you're going to click Apply, and then again go into Administration and save the settings. We do offer statistics. The first two columns are going to be based on the data port you're connected to. Again, in this case, I'm using the SFP data port, so the RJ45 is white and has no information in it, but the SFP port is functioning. If you're going to be using SNMP, you can go ahead and set your get and set communities. Here they're referred to as the RO and RW communities. Out of the box, they're going to be set to public and private, pretty standard. And then your trap destinations are going to be added here into the IP table. Again, you want to hit Apply, go to Administration, and save the settings. Here's an idea. We do supply you with, on the CD-ROM that comes with the system, the proprietary MIBs for this product. So here's an idea of the various traps and OIDs that are available through the AireLink 60 product. We, as a new product, we're going to of course be doing some software updates and changes and features and things as time goes on. Pretty standard for a new product. We feel we've gotten the software to a very high level, but we want to make sure that if we make changes or improvements that you have the ability to update the product. And that will be done through a TFTP server. And you'll do that update here in the software screen. And as I've said a couple of times going through these various screens, once you're done applying the changes, you're going to want to come into the Administration tab and then save the settings. And that's that very first one where it says System Settings, Save Settings. That's where you'll want to change. You'll want to save those settings after you've made your IP changes, after you've turned it into data mode, etc. Should you need to reboot the system, you can do that here through the software. As opposed to doing a hardware boot by power cycling it, you can just do a software reboot. Doing a software reboot will take, again, about 3 minutes for it to go through the entire boot sequence. Now, coming out of the box, the username is admin and the password is also admin. So you'd want to come in here and choose a new password that's a bit more secure for your network. Again, apply, and then save the settings. So what I'd like to move into now, which is probably the most important part of the presentation, so I kind of saved it for last, is taking a look at how the product is going to perform in any given area. And this is probably the most, what you guys have kind of been waiting for is, yeah, that's all nice and good, but how's this going to work in my area? So what I'd like to do is talk to you about the ITU. Those of you that have done millimeter wave, microwave, and other RF solutions are probably familiar with this chart. It's basically the rain chart of the world. Now this one's a bit busy, so I'm going to skip down to the next slide. This is a little bit clearer. It kind of shows you the various countries around the world and what their rain zones are. And that's what's important. We really look at the rain zone that you're going to be deploying in to determine the kind of availability you can expect given a specific antenna and a specific distance. So looking at these charts, for instance, this is the United States, and for instance, it looks like about a third of the United States is in rain zone K. So if you look at rain zone K, it's kind of that deep purplish color. Kind of matches here. It's purple on the map, and it's a purple purple line here, you can see that in order to achieve your 99.9%, you're going to be at around 450 meters, a little bit better. Now, depending on what your range zone is, you can also look at these other charts and see where you would fall based on the lines. So taking a look at that, you say, okay, that's great, but I need to go further. Okay, then we can start looking at the 1-foot antenna. Now you're looking at your 99.9s are closer to, say, 700 to almost 700, and another 750, so maybe 700, and getting your 5.9s. But you need to go even further. Well, then we start to look at the 2-foot antenna. And again, using range zone K, now you're looking at, just under 1,000 meters for you to get your 5.9s of availability. And the same holds true based on the other countries and range zones that you're looking at. This happens to be Australia, and you can see how things change. Now, Australia, a lot of where the business centers are located in range zone M. So they're going to focus on the range zone M, and you're still looking at about 500 meters for range zone M. You need to go further, we got the 1-foot antenna. Even further, we've got the 2-foot antenna. And here's a map of Europe. So Europe is going to have, if you're in range zone K, just like we were in the United States, range zone K is going to be the same for every range zone throughout the world. So as long as you're in range zone K, the numbers aren't going to change. So you can take a look at which range zone your customer is going to be located in, and we can go ahead and take a look at the charts associated with it. So you have your 1-foot antennas now, and your 2-foot antennas. And then what we have done is, and this is where it gets a little bit, there's a lot of, with this ACM modulations, you can see that we get different bandwidths at different modulations. So at QAM 16.5/8, we get full gigabit throughput. But when you move down the chart to our lowest modulation scheme, which is BPSK 1/2, you're still able to achieve 226 megabits per second. So if you installed a system, as we talked about, it's going to be 5.9s at gigabit, then during that 0.0001% of the time, you're going to be somewhere between 226 and the gigabit. And hopefully in the next couple slides, the next slide, it's going to be a bit clearer. So here we have 2 charts. One is based on the integrated antenna with a 36 dBi, and I know this is hard to see for everyone, so I'm gonna try and zoom in on it in a moment. You've got 36 dBi antenna, and on the chart on the right, it's looking at our 1-foot antenna. I'm just using these as an examples because it fits a little bit better on the screen here. So let me go ahead and do this. Let me go to 200. Okay. So again, we're focused in on the integrated antenna with a 36 dBi antenna gain. So assuming we were in ideal perfect conditions, the system could go 800 meters and achieve gigabit full duplex throughput. Okay? With that same unit, you could install it at 950 meters in perfect ideal conditions and still achieve 834 megabits per second. So if your customer says, oh, I have to go, a kilometer, but I don't care if I get 500 megabits, then you can look here at the 550 megabit column in your range zone and see what you're going to achieve for distances. But let's look at it a different way. So let's take a look at it for, say, rain zone, probably let's do rain zone C, for instance. So in rain zone C, in order to get 3 nines of availability, you could go to 700 meters. Okay? So that doesn't mean that you won't continue to have availability. What that means is at 700 meters, 99.9% of the time you're going to get gigabit. The rest of the time you're going to get somewhere between gigabit and 240 megabits per second. So as the weather impedes the signal strength, you're going to see that it steps through the various modulation schemes but continues to keep the system up and available for network traffic. So let's look at it the other way. Let's say that 5 nines is the ultimate. Well, if you wanted to do 5 nines, then you'd have to go to 500 meters. So for 500 meters, you will get 5 nines of operation, and then 0.001% of the time, you're going to be operating somewhere other than at full duplex gigabit. You'll be probably operating somewhere closer at 550 megabits in the worst case scenarios. So looking at these charts, you just have to take a look at it and understand that depending on the distance, just because that doesn't mean when you see 99.9% of the time at 700 meters that the system is going to be down for 0.1% of the time. Contrary to that, what it really means is you're going to be able to be up that whole time just at a lower throughput. So just like some of the other RF solutions that are out there, it'll step down to lower bandwidths. Now, for those of you that have dealt with RF products in the past, this is old hat, and you're probably just shaking your head going, yeah, I know, I get that. But for those who are used to our air beams and some of our air bridge products, we are kind of this all or nothing. You either have full bandwidth, and then when the bit error rate gets too high, it doesn't drop down to a lower bandwidth, it just stops operating, which is why we created the hybrid solution. So here you have the ability to have one system deploy it at various distances and know that you're going to continue to give your customer the availability and uptime that they want. So let me take a look at the same rain zone C, but now I jump up to a 1-foot antenna. And once you jump up to rain zone C and a 1-foot antenna, instead of going 700 meters for 3 nines of availability, you're now jumping up to 1,200 meters. So now you're at 1.2 kilometers with 3 nines of availability. But again, does that mean that 0.1% of the time you're down? No. All that means is as the weather starts to impact the solution, you're going to slowly move down the various modulation schemes till you reach the 239 megabits per second. So you can kind of look at these as various ways to determine what's going to be the best solution for you and for your customer and what their requirements are. And as I mentioned, you can also take a look at this from a different way and say, okay, well, my customer wants to go, say, 1 kilometer, and they're in rain zone C. So they can do at 1 kilometer, if they don't care about bandwidth as much, they could go for a 1-foot antenna, and at 1 kilometer they would get 5 nines at 500 megabits of full duplex traffic. And maybe that's exactly what they need. Or they want to stick with a small form factor, and they still want to go to 1 kilometer. Okay, well, at 1 kilometer, you're looking at probably, I guess you're going to get 4 nines at right around 450 megabits per second. So really kind of gives us a lot of flexibility with the various antenna sizes we have and these modulation schemes. I think this will give us opportunities that we haven't seen with some of our other FSO or millimeter wave products. So if you have questions about these charts or a specific application or a specific distance in a specific region, and you kind of want to look at how we can slice and dice the information to provide your customer with the highest availability, please call us. Let us know what you're looking at, what they're thinking about, and we'll go ahead and run the numbers and look at the charts and discuss the charts and what they mean, and come back to you with a solution that we think is going to fit your customer's requirements. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to wrap it up so that we have a few minutes left for doing some questions. It should give us about 15 minutes or so if we need it for questions. And I'll go ahead and have John step back online if he's there.
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Brian. That was really good. Got a couple of questions that came in. If you'd like to type in some questions, you can enter. I'm sure if you have a question, so don't be shy. So, got a question from Steve. Does the 60SX come with mounting mast and hardware?
So with the SX product, what you're going to get is, scrolling back, bear with me. Go back, got this picture from John. Oops. Down here in the lower corner, you do not get the pole or the mast itself, but you get this alignment side pole attachment. Plus you get the ODU, the antenna, integrated antenna. So you get everything that you see here, but you do not get the white pole. That is not part of the kit. We do happen to sell these very short. They're about 2.5 feet long white poles. They're the same, in this image, it's the same white pole that we use with our FSO systems.
Steve asked a question here. What about snow and ice?
We are in the process, and it's actually being fabricated now. There is going to be an ice, and actually it'll double as a heat shield, and so that's being developed and out for fabrication. I think it went out last week, actually, and it's going to be a shield that's going to be attached to the top of the unit using the existing screws that are somewhat visible, and you will not need it for the 1 foot and 2 foot, but it will be available for the SX. For the 1 foot and 2 foot, it's already got a very slick surface. It's the same antenna we've been using for years, and that snow and ice have not been an issue for it. It's got a very slippery surface on it, but we will be having an ice and heat shield for the SX itself.
Okay, and next question is from Nathan. Does LightPointe have a solution for 15 kilometers? I'll go ahead and answer that. It's, the AireLink 60 series is used primarily under 2 kilometers, and it depends on what the range region you're in. So the small nodes where you're located, and then we can use different options for the distance. For over 10 kilometers, typically most of our products are 10 kilometers or less. The longer distances are done with our 70-80. The 60 has some severe oxygen absorption and rain attenuation issues. So you get the advantage of frequency reuse and high density with 60. 70-80 gives you the ability to talk about it further. I'll move to the next one from John. Obviously, price point, so that's a good question. Everybody wants to know what it costs. We've got a very attractive package. I'll answer this in 2 parts. First part is the SX, which is the integrated antenna. It is with everything that we talked about in practice. You look at your MSRP for a system both sides, you're looking at $9,900. And then for the longer range, it's basically the same base price and adding price that we would go over 2 foot for range. The second part of that answer is that we actually have a special going on until the beginning of September. And there's actually a introductory $1,000 off the MSRP price. So price point there. So this is for Bob. Is there a tool for inputting distance uptime to obtain distances, or just the chart? And I think the chart is probably the best way of doing it. Don't you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think the chart is probably, I think it's probably the easiest way to do it, but, you know, if they have questions, obviously we can run, you know, let us know what we're missing here, and we'll obviously try and address it.
POE injectors sold separate?
No, POE injectors are included in the price. And yes, you could buy them separately if you needed spares, but they are included with the system.
Next question for Lee. Was the availability thanks for the presentation. Was the availability of the AireLink 60 within Europe? Is this available now? I can answer that. Yes, it is available now. We have shipped, and contact Michael or Patrick here in Europe, and we can give you more information about where you can obtain it. Jeffrey, what is the degree of the antenna broadcasting?
I guess we need to know which antenna. So you're looking at about 0.7 degrees on the 2-foot, a little over 1 degree on the 1-foot, and I believe it is 1 point. I'm going off of memory because I don't have it in front of me. I think it's 1.4 for the SX. And John, you may know that offhand.
SX? Yeah, let's see. Are out of band and data IPs different?
There is only one IP for the management. There is no IP associated with the data stream. And we do assign the same IP address to both units out of the box. That way it's easier to get into them, and then you would just configure them. One is going to be a high, one is going to be a low. But yes, they will both have the same IP address for the management interface out of the box.
Okay, question for Bob again. Are antennas field upgradable if the customers redeploy the system?
The SX is not. The SX has an integrated antenna, so that is not changeable. However, if the 1-foot antenna is purchased, that ODU can be swapped onto any other 1-foot or 2-foot antenna from LightPointe. So if you go with the 1-foot option, you can upgrade to the 2-foot, or vice versa. If you get the 2-foot, you can downgrade to the 1-foot. But the SX is a fixed product.
Okay, let's see. We're getting over here. This is similar to what is the bandwidth of the SX, and how will they cope with co-location in the same tower?
Okay, so the systems have, let's say we're talking about the SX. So with the SX on the same tower, you could put 4 of them in close proximity to each other. What you would do is you'd have to stagger your highs and your lows and your verticals and horizontals. And in doing so, you could stack them on an antenna. So we do have, as I mentioned, it's a high and a low, and then you have horizontal and vertical to play with. So let us know how many you want to put on an antenna on a tower, and we can do the calculations as far as separation, and we can guide you as far as how to lay it out to avoid interference.
So certain guidance to answer to this. So, from Andy, is there encryption capabilities?
Yes, there will be encryption within the next 6 months. That has been in the works. a little bit more complicated than we had originally anticipated, but at this point it looks like by probably December or January, we should have encryption available for the systems. Now, I will say that it's going to be a new and different product, and that has to do with regulations that we have to deal with for the United States and the Department of Justice. So if you were to purchase a system today and you wanted to have encryption, you'd have to send it back in so that we could load the encryption. At least that's the way we are understanding how the U.S. Department of Justice wants us to move forward.
So that's stay tuned type of
Yeah.
But just awesome. Okay. Can we provide weather charts for us to review? To Jeffrey, and I would say contact sales, and we'll provide the rest. Another one question from Jeffrey is: do these units support point-to multipoint?
Do they support what? I'm sorry.
Point-to multipoint.
Oh, no. These are a point-to-point product.
And for Bob, how much does the ODU weigh?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. It's not that bad. I'd have to go weigh one. It's probably only a couple grams. It's probably about 2 kilos. I'd imagine it's not very heavy. Let me. I think if I do this, I'll try and look for it while you ask the next question.
I can tell you what it is. It's a space shade. It's 4 kilometers up to the SX and 6.35. I'm sorry, kilograms. 6.335 kilograms for the 1 foot, 9 kilograms for the 2 foot.
And that's complete. That's with the antennas.
That should be a touch.
Yeah. The ODU itself is not heavy.
No, it's like this. We didn't make it. Okay, I think we got all the questions. There's quite a few. It's great. We had a great audience today. I mean, just a superb turnout. This is probably the biggest webinar we've ever done. So I appreciate everybody's time. We're going to do this again later today at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Sorry, some of you had problems with the audio. I know some people emailed me. You can contact sales, and we can go over any specific questions that you have. And Brian's available, obviously. I'm available. Your sales person is available to answer any specific questions. That's the way we like to work with our customers is be pretty hands-on, be very involved with projects. Feel free to contact us. Send us an email at sales@lightpointe.com.
Okay. That's about it. I guess I will thank everyone, and as John said, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help out, and I'm available whenever you need me.